When we talk about legal mandates and government policy, the conversation usually gets pretty dry, pretty fast. But in this explainer, we're actually going on a much more inspiring journey. We're looking at the DepEd mandate on school heads, and we're not just rattling off legal obligations here. We are going to trace the fascinating path of how deeply personal human dreams eventually translate into the concrete, everyday legal mandates of a public school leader. This is really all about finding your purpose, understanding your true authority, and ultimately building a nation. So let's dive right in.
So let me ask you something right out of the gate. What are dreams made of? Seriously, before we even touch on systemic goals, educational frameworks, or government mandates, we have to start with the individual. You. Think about a dream you personally hope to achieve in the next 5 to 10 years. What are the elements making up that dream? Is it driven by passion? Is it born out of necessity? Or maybe a deep desire to help others? Keep that personal reflection right in the back of your mind as we go through this.
Because, look, a journey always begins with a dream. Educational leadership isn't just some static job title you sit in until retirement. It's an ongoing, highly dynamic journey down a long road toward a really powerful vision. And it requires forward momentum. If you don't have a destination, a dream, in mind, how can you possibly guide an entire school community?
Okay, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll look at the power of a dream. Number 2, DepEd's mission in action. 3, living the core values. 4, the school head's mandate. And finally, translating vision into reality. Let's get into it.
Starting with Section 1, the power of a dream and personal aspirations in leadership.
All great educational leadership starts precisely here, with understanding just how powerful a personal dream can be when it's backed by relentless action. Take a second to think about the story of Roselle Ambubayog. She consistently graduated with the highest academic honors from elementary all the way through high school. She was mainstreamed into regular, cited classes, and ultimately, she became the very first visually impaired Filipina to graduate summa cum laude from the Ateneo de Manila University. I mean, wow! Her story is absolute proof of what happens when immense determination meets a crystal-clear vision. As a school head, you're constantly tasked with helping your students overcome their own unique barriers, right? This is the kind of triumph we're aiming for.
Or take Efren Peña, Florida. Born to a tricycle driver and a housewife, he grew up in an urban slum near an open dump site in Cavite City, literally playing among the garbage. But from being a sponsored child, he went on to graduate with a degree in computer technology with the highest honors, and then dedicated himself to changing countless lives. Overcoming massive, systemic obstacles is a core part of achieving any worthwhile dream. And let's be real, your students are facing these exact same hurdles today.
But to bridge the gap between where we are and where we want to be, you need way more than just hope. You need a clear strategy, high motivation, aligned activities, and a really firm grasp of your role. You have to literally map out the path to success. As a school head, you are essentially the chief cartographer for your school's future.
All right, moving to Section 2, DepEd's mission in action, the institutional dream.
Let's shift gears from the personal level to the macro level and look at how the Department of Education defines its ultimate dream. Here's the official DepEd vision. We dream of Filipinos who passionately love their country and whose values and competencies enable them to realize their full potential and contribute meaningfully to building the nation. Notice those first two words, we dream. This isn't just a dry strategic corporate plan. It is literally defined as a dream, a wish, and a fervent prayer for the nation's learners. It sets a profoundly human, emotional baseline for all the hard work you're doing.
And what's really interesting here is how this massive, overarching mission breaks down into 4 distinct, shared pillars to actually deliver that education. First up, students must have a child-friendly, safe environment. Second, teachers are there to constantly nurture each unique learner. Third, administrators act as the stewards, ensuring those supportive systems are in place. And fourth, the community and stakeholders share the responsibility for developing lifelong learners. It's a huge ecosystem, and absolutely everyone has a critical part to play.
Which brings us to Section 3, living the core values, our moral compass.
If the vision is our destination and the mission is the vehicle getting us there, then the core values are the compass keeping us on the right path. Republic Act No. 8491 mandates these 4 incredible pillars. Let's walk through them real quick. Maka Dias, being grounded in faith and morality. Maka Tao, respecting human rights and dignity. Maka Likasan, protecting our environment. And Maka Bansa, fostering deep patriotism. So ask yourself, how do you embody these daily? Because as an educational leader,
You aren't just managing a school, you are actively modeling these exact values for the next generation.
Section 4. The School Head's Mandate. Building the Dream.
Now this is where the rubber really meets the road. This is where we connect that high-level vision to your everyday, boots-on-the-ground reality. Crucially, RA 9155, the Governance of Basic Education Act of 2001, explicitly creates a dual role for school heads. You are mandated to be both an instructional leader and an administrative manager. You don't get to just pick one. This requires a pretty incredible balancing act, juggling big-picture educational leadership with the gritty, practical day-to-day management of a whole facility.
So let's break that down, starting with your instructional leadership mandates. You are tasked with setting the school's mission and goals, creating that learning-conducive environment, implementing the curriculum, and introducing new, innovative modes of instruction. These duties are the direct, hands-on tools you use to nurture the students and support the teachers we talked about earlier. You are quite literally the architect of the learning experience.
But as we know, an architect also has to manage the construction site, and that is where your administrative and management mandates come in. Managing fiscal resources, handling staffing, establishing community networks, accepting grants. I want to emphasize that these administrative tasks are not just annoying bureaucratic paperwork. They are the absolutely vital engine driving the dream of nation building. Because without managing the physical and fiscal resources properly, those amazing instructional innovations simply cannot happen. The two roles feed into each other perfectly.
Okay, final stretch. Section 5. Translating vision into reality, your next steps.
Let's pivot from the heavy legal text of RA 9155 back to you and what you can actually do today. One really practical exercise recommended in the source material is creating a vision board. It's a literal visual roadmap of your goals as a school head. It's a simple 4-step process. First, grab some pictures that symbolize your role and the DepEd mandates. Second, pick some quotes that act as your personal battle cry. Third, build them into a cohesive collage. And fourth, give it a powerful title, something like My Part in Nation Building. I highly encourage you to actually do this. It takes the legal jargon of your mandate and transforms it into a daily source of visual inspiration.
Our entire journey today is brilliantly summed up by this Warren Bennis quote. Leadership is the capacity to translate vision into reality. And honestly, that is exactly what a school head does. You take the high-level dreams of a nation, the core values of your culture, and the legal frameworks of your department, and through your deliberate leadership, you make them real for your students every single day. So, I'm leaving you with this final thought. You know the dream. You know the mandate. The tools and the authority are entirely in your hands. So how will you translate your vision into reality today? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep leading, keep learning, and keep building the future.